The valley was always quiet at night, almost unnaturally so. Sound carried strangely here. Footsteps crunching on snow seemed to echo against the pines, and even the wind had a hollow voice, like it was whispering through the skeleton of something long gone. My breath came out in long, heavy clouds as I trudged up the drive, boots slipping slightly on the black ice crusting over the concrete. The air had that sharp, metallic tang of an oncoming storm, the kind that gets into your teeth and makes your jaw ache. By the time I reached the garage, my fingers were stiff inside my gloves, fumbling to my belt. I pressed the button. The garage door groaned in protest, a tired machine dragged unwillingly from its slumber. It rattled upward, climbing slow. Then it shuddered, jerking to a halt halfway. I pressed the remote again. Nothing's when then fell silent, leaving the door suspended, crooked and stubborn, like a jaw frozen mid-yawn. Of course, I muttered. Perfect timing. I set my bag down in the snow and bent, grabbing the bottom of the door to haul it up manually. The metal was icy under my gloves, biting cold even through the fabric. I pulled. The door resisted, then gave a fraction, groaning, squealing, then stopping dead again. My shoulders ached instantly. I tried again, harder this time, until the muscles in my back flared and sweat prickled under my heavy coat. It wouldn't budge. That was when I heard her voice. It cracked across the night like a whip, nasal and shrill, every syllable laced with accusation. My spine stiffened. I knew the voice before I even turned. Karen. The one-woman HOA militia. President, enforcer, judge, jury, and executioner of this stretch of valley homes. She had been a thorn in everyone's side since I moved back here, a busybody who carried the bylaws in her head like scripture. She walked her little lapdog around the coal, deet sack 3 times a day, left their trash bins out too long, who hadn't pressure washed their siding this season, who dared to leave Christmas lights up past January. And now, apparently, who couldn't get their damn garage door open. You can't leave that open. She biting up the sidewalk as if summoned by the sound of the malfunction. The dog, some trembling white fluffball, yapped in time with her steps. That's against Regulation 4B. Garage doors must remain closed when not in immediate use. It's in the bylaws. I kept my grip on the frozen door and didn't look at her. It's jammed. That's not my problem. She shot back. If your negligence is not this neighborhood's burden. I gritted my teeth and pulled on the door again, more out of spite than any hope of success. It rattled an inch and stopped. The sound of Karen's boots crunching closer made me want to drop it and slam the house door in her face, but I knew better. Retreat wasn't victory. It was just permission for her to escalate. She stopped a few feet away, arms folded, dog bouncing at the end of its leash like static electricity. I should fine you for this. Open garage doors invite pests, crime and disorder. That's how neighborhoods decline. I stood upright, turning slowly, meeting her beady eyes under the fluorescent glow of the street lamp. Do I look like I'm trying to invite pests? Karen, it's frozen. The gears are shot. You always have an excuse. She snapped. Last time it was your lawn. Before that it was your fence leaning half an inch into the easement. Always a story. Always an exception. She whipped out her phone like a gunslinger drawing a revolver. I'm documenting this. You've got to be kidding me. She wasn't. Her thumb danced on the screen, the camera's red light blinking like a little mechanical eye. Mile, she said coldly. Evidence. I took a step toward her, not threatening, just enough to make my point. Karen. Put the phone away. Go home. Let me fix my garage in peace. But she didn't back down. She never did. Instead, hurt sparking in her expression. You think you can intimidate me. You think being whatever it is you are makes you above the rules. I'm not afraid of you. I'm calling the cops. The words drop a stone in my stomach. Calling the cops. For a stuck garage door. If you look suspicious, she said, tapping her phone with relish. You're trespassing. I live here. For prove it. I laughed, short and sharp, because what else could I do? The absurdity was suffocating. My name's on the deed, Karen. You want me to get the paperwork out of my sock drawer. Her face twisted. She didn't care about proof, about logic, about reason. This wasn't about the garage. It was about control. And I had slipped outside her leash too many times. By the time I realized she was serious, the call was already made. I could the clipped tone of dispatch through the winter air, Karen's voice dripping with false alarm. Yes, officers, there's a man forcing his way into a house. Aggressive. Dangerous. He threatened me, and my fists clenched. Are you insane? Speaking louder, as if narrating the scene for her invisible audience. He's standing right behind me now. Oh my God, he's coming closer. Please hurry. I hadn't moved an inch. The valley swallowed the silence that followed, a heavy pause broken only by the faint buzz of static from her phone. Then, far in the distance came the first wail of sirens. It was faint at first, ghostly, carried on the wind, but it grew, rising into a howl that limed over the ridges and sank into my bones. I stood there, rooted to the frozen driveway, staring at the crooked garage door, the stupid blinking remote, Karen's smug silhouette against the glow of the street lamp. My breath came hard and fast, condensing in angry bursts. She cradled her dog like a prize, satisfied that the cavalry was coming. But I knew, deep down, in the pit of my stomach, that when those lights crested the hill, when those doors slammed open, nobody would see a broken garage door. They'd see what Karen wanted them to see. The sirens grew louder. Blue and red light began to strobe faintly against the white snowbanks at the edge of the road. And all I could think was, this is how it starts. The sirens didn't stop at the edge of the valley. They tore down my street like wolves baying for blood, red and blue light washing over the houses, painting the snow in pulsing waves. The sound rattled inside my skull. Karen, standing at the edge of my drive, looked positively vindicated, like she had summoned an army with her voice alone. The squad car skidded to a stop, snow spraying from under the tires. Doors flew open. 2 officers jumped out, hands already on their weapons. Their boots slammed the ground with authority, crunching into the ice. One aimed a flashlight directly at my chest, blinding me in its white glare. Hands where I can see them. I obeyed instantly, arms lifting into the frozen night. My breath puffed out in frantic clouds. "This is my house," I said quickly, steady but urgent. The garage door jammed. "That's all." "Step away from the building," the taller officer barked. I took a cautious step back, my boots squealing on the ice. The garage door loomed behind me, half open, its shadow like a yawning mouth. The shorter officer angled sideways, weapon still low but ready, eyes darting from me to the crooked door. "Sir, do not move suddenly. Do not reach for anything. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said. My voice was shaking now. "You don't understand. Karen called you for nothing. It's just a jammed door." Karen piped up from the sidelines, voice dripping satisfaction. "Fee threatened me. He's not supposed to be here, I told you." The taller officer swung his light toward her, frowning. "Mum, we'll handle this." Then back to me. "What's in the garage?" I froze. The words seemed loaded. Dangerous. Tools. A truck. Just normal stuff's my garage. The shorter officer shifted closer, shining his light under the crooked gap. His expression changed instantly. His shoulders stiffened. "Hold up," he muttered. "Something's in there." The taller officer adjusted his grip on the flashlight, angling it upward as the door trembled slightly in the wind. The beam caught on something in the darkness. A shape, hunched, still. At first, it looked like a pile of sacks, maybe a tarp, but then the light found a face. Pale, mouth gagged, eyes closed. The world tilted under me. My stomach turned to stone. The taller officer's voice cracked sharp as a whip. "There's a person inside." The shorter officer was already moving, gun raised. "Step back. Step back." Don't. My throat locked. Words tangled. "I don't know what that is." I didn't. But it was too late. The garage door groaned suddenly, the frozen gears giving way under the weight of the moment. It screeched upward, rattling like a drumroll of doom, until the entire cavern of the garage lay exposed. And there, in the center, tied to a chair with ropes cutting deep into his suit, was Governor Mitchell. I knew the face instantly. Everyone in this state did. Clean cut, graying at the temples, the kind of politician who smiled too much on billboards. Except now his head lolled, a bruise swelling along his temple. His hands were bound to the chair's gas. "You've get already." The officers in unison. "Governor." A Karen screamed. The dog barked furiously, feeding off the panic. I stumbled backward, nearly slipping on the ice. My mind spun uselessly, a whirlwind of disbelief. Get down now." The taller officer shoved me to my knees, the barrel of his weapon an unspoken threat. His voice was pure adrenaline. "Don't move." I didn't. I choked on my own breath. I don't know how he got here, but they weren't listening. Their training had taken over, every nerve locked onto the hostage, the threat, the gun in their hands. The shorter officer edged forward, radio crackling at his shoulder. "Dispatch, we've got the governor." "Repeat, the governor. In active hostage condition. Possible suspect on scene." I wasn't the suspect. I was the homeowner, but the way their eyes cut to me said otherwise. Then everything broke at once. The governor stirred, a faint groan clawing out of his throat. His head lifted a fraction. The taller officer shouted something. "Orders, maybe." The shorter officer flinched at the sound. A shot cracked, sharp and final, splitting the night open like glass shattering. The governor's body jerked violently, his chair scraping against the concrete. His groan twisted into a choking cough and then faded. The echo of the gunshot seemed to last forever, bouncing off the valley walls. The air smelled of cordite and raw. My ears rang. My vision tunneled. Karen screamed again, high and shrill, collapsing against the snowbank like she had just watched the sky fall. The dog howled. The shorter officer stared at his weapon in disbelief, as if it had betrayed him. His lips moved soundlessly, forming excuses that wouldn't save him. The taller officer swore under his breath, rushing to the governor, tugging at the officer discharge. Governor's been hit. Medical. Medical now. And me. I was still on my knees, hands shaking in the air, staring at the grotesque theater unfolding in my garage. My grouse, my life, twisted into a crime scene. My thoughts spiraled. How had the governor ended up here? Who put him in my garage? Was this a setup? A warning? A nightmare I couldn't wake from? The questions buzzed in my skull like hornets, but no answers came. The taller officer shoved me hard, face twisted with suspicion and panic. What the hell did you do? Nothing. I swear to God, nothing. I came home. The door was frozen. I didn't know he was in there. My words tumbled over each other, desperate, broken. But I could see it in his eyes. He didn't believe me. Maybe he couldn't. A governor bound and bleeding in my garage, a gun discharged, my neighbor screaming about how I threatened her. How could anyone believe this wasn't my doing? Sirens slulled again, more cars arriving, the valley flooding with red and blue. Radios screamed. Boots thundered across snow. And all I could do was kneel there, helpless, as my world collapsed under the weight of someone else's sins. The governor's blood was pooling on my concrete floor. The officer's hands were dragging me down, cuffing me, branding me as the villain of this nightmare. And Karen, she stood on the curb, clutching her shaking dog, eyes wide with horror but lips curved just slightly. Like she had won something.